understand what the teacher teaches them. In nearly every subject, like maths, science, English, I was the head of the class. But when I started homeschooling in September, my mom started laying the work on me, and it got harder and harder as I was doing past papers. And it was like secondary work on BBC bite size, and it actually felt like it was my level. How homeschooling differs from mainstream schooling. So, to the results of 2016, the critical reading score, the mathematics score, and the writing score has been higher in homeschooling than normal school, as you can see. So the critical reading score was different by 43% in critical reading score, 79 points in mathematical score, and in writing score, the difference was about 50 points. And it says, so the home educated typically score 15 to 30% points above public school and standard achievement test. And Black homeschooled students are scoring 23 to 40% above Black public school students. And according to BBC Bite Size for this year and 2014, it's the increasing numbers of children are going up, as you can see in the graph. Here are some facts that I'd like to share. Homeschooling is going to become more popular because schools are closing down. And if more schools are closing down, then more homeschool children. And 2 to 8% increase each year. For example, if we start in 2018 or 2014, it will go up about 8% each year. Children are restricted to what their teachers teach them in school, as I highlighted on that point earlier. There is a UK teacher in hiring crisis because of the coronavirus, because teachers don't want to go into school because they can catch the coronavirus.
Okay, so Gabriel, only because of time, I'm going to ask you if you can fast forward it and just tell us about how you found doing 11 plus whilst homeschooling.
Okay, so doing 11 plus while doing homeschooling was actually pretty hard because my mom had to go to work and I had to get on with things by myself. So my mom wasn't there to help me. So I had to do it by myself. And doing it by myself, I learned a lot about how to do it and examinations. My mom would say, I'm going to be on a meeting now. Let just do a 40-minute paper. So I'd get my iPad, time myself, do some papers. So I've gotten used to how I do it in homeschooling. Awesome. It's okay. Not hard.
Let me ask you, Gabriel. So with the homeschooling and all the practice, which schools did you actually pass your exams for?
So for schools that I passed my exams for, I got into Harrow. I passed the pre-test for Harrow. I did pass the test for St. George's, passed the test and the interview for Haberdashers. Got into the Kent exams and CCSE. Mm-hmm. And that's about it.
Awesome, thank you. So thank you so much for sharing that, Gabriel. So thank you. I just wanted to let parents see that there are always other options as well. So as much as we are looking at schools and what schools can offer you, it is also important to remember that you have to think of whatever your child's particular end goal is and bear that in mind and take the best route that's going to fit for your child to make that happen. There's no point putting your child in a school and they're not, you know, doing what they want or what you feel your child needs. You could be spending lots of money, you could be spending a lot of energy. If your school is not close to home, you could be traveling, commuting. My family and I, my siblings and I, we all commuted to a lot of quite far schools. And, you know, if you're not getting the benefit from it, then you don't have to feel trapped in the system. It's okay to say, what exactly are my options? You heard the list of schools that he got into, and that was based on, you know, decision that his parents to home educate him. We also have another parent who was not afraid to remove his daughter from an independent primary school and put them into a local primary school. Because remember, sometimes some of these schools are just names, but if the school is not actually delivering on what you need, then as parents, you have to be willing to take the necessary action. So I'm going to ask Ivana now to please just quickly share with us her experiences. She's another one of our Year 6 students.
Hello everybody, my name is Ivana Harrison and I'm here today to talk about my experiences with the 11 plus test, extra revision and applying for schools. I started my revision in year 3, where I have private tutoring and group tutoring to help me prepare for my exam. In year 6 and around October, I joined Little Scholars House and my parents, my teachers and I all saw a massive improvement in my learning, so we decided to stay there. Sometimes I would want to stop revising and do something that I enjoy more, but then I would realize that my friends and my cousins and everybody else who's doing the 11 plus is studying just like me or even more than me. The schools that I've applied for are Cheltenham Ladies College, Downhouse, St Catherine's Bramley and Maldenham. The subjects that I did were maths, English, non-verbal reasoning and verbal reasoning. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, some of these had to be done online, which did help with my nerves as I wasn't face to face with the examiner. And I got offer letters from 2 of my schools, which were Downhouse and Maldenham, and I was very excited when I got them, but I couldn't even sleep that night. And I'm still waiting for my 2 feedback letters from Cheltenham Ladies College and St Catherine's Bramley, which I really hope include good news. And thank you for listening and good luck.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Ivana. And on that note, I want to just quickly give out some awards. We have some of our Year 6 students who, let me just quickly share the screen. Some of our Year 6 students who did remarkably well, and not just in terms of achievement, but also in terms of working and the progress. And some of you know Mr. Jesse. He is our other 11 plus teacher, and I literally sat with him, and well, not physically because of COVID, but you know, we just said, if you had to pick who really impressed you from our bunch, and we literally both came up with the same people and for the same reasons. So I knew, okay, this is definitely meant to be. So the first person is Shemilore. Shemilore literally tunes in every week without fail, all the way from Nigeria for her classes. And the school she goes to an independent school, a British independent school, where she doesn't even have to do the 11 plus exam, but she's been through that whole process since summer, and she's been so consistent with her homework, her punctuality, the positive nature that she has towards her work. So we thought she definitely deserves one. Everyone deserves one, but in terms of who really, really stood out to us. The other person is Timmy. Timmy only joined us, I think, in December, but he's just shown so much passion for working. And, you know, sometimes as a teacher, you're like, oh, okay, all right, that's okay, okay. And, you know, it's really impressed us. And it's different from someone who wants to know, who wants to say, this is the answer, as opposed to someone who wants to understand why it's the answer. And sometimes that's the best, because if you're taught to learn things by memory, like, okay, you can say off by heart your 2 times tables, that's fine. But when you're approached with a question where you need to use the mechanics of what the 2 times table mean in order to answer a problem solving question, then it's not about learning facts, you have to actually understand. And Timmy really always wants to understand the process behind his learning, and we thought that was really good. And that's something that you will always need going into secondary school as well, especially when you have to start doing investigations and reports. So well done to Timmy. Another student, unfortunately she's not here, she's been having some health issues, is Demechi, who is a very quiet member of the class, but very powerful in terms of the work she produces each and every time. So she gets an award. And last but not least is Ivana. And as Ivana said, she only joined in October. And when she joined, this is the exact same reason Mr. Jesse thought so too. She was kind of on the level of some of our year 4s, but she literally in a short space of time, she was so determined to embrace it all. And there's a difference between forcing someone to learn something and you're cramming it into their head, as opposed to someone who's actually gone on a journey, and her journey just happened to be fast tracked because she was like a sponge. And that's one of the things that we want children to know, and parents to know as well, is sometimes your child could have so much potential, but if they're just not in a place where it's going to be drawn out, then you wouldn't know it. And I feel like for Ivana, she had all of that potential, but she just wasn't being used. Or like what we see now, she you know what I'm trying to say. So she had so much potential and she was able to deliver on it, and that's really impressive. So well done, Ivana, and well done to all of our year 6s, well done to all of you. And our year 6s have worked really, really hard, as I said, and what we're going to be doing, especially based on the fact that one of the top grammar schools has said they want to encourage their year 7 students to start taking up tuition, is this year, when we do our summer school program, we are going to be offering free English classes to all of our year 6 kids, and not just our year 6 kids, any year 6 student, just to kind of help give them a head start and a boost before they get to year 7. So that's our year 6s. I'm going to quickly switch over to our next guest, and then I will come back to our other 2 speakers to come and speak about the 4+ exams, because I know she has a very busy schedule. So we have Councillor Nanda Manley-Brown with us this evening. She's going to talk about governmental education support, and especially during this time of lockdown and COVID, some parents have found it really difficult to know what to do, and what the government can also do to help support us. Our lovely councillor is the Education and Schools Champion for Lambeau Council, and I'm going to hand over to her briefly.
Okay, thank you, Lola, and good evening, everyone. It's so wonderful to see so many of you virtually here with us today. So I'm Councillor Nanda Manley-Brown. I'm the Schools and Education Champion at Lambeau Council. I'm also a school governor, and I'm also a parent of a child who attends a local primary school in my borough as well. So, I have, I've witnessed firsthand, the challenges and the struggles that we've all experienced as parents during this lockdown period. And locally we've had to take some, and no, first and foremost I want to say congratulations, bravo to all of you for persevering with the homeschooling provisions, and and just trying to keep the children as engaged as possible, even though we may not be professional teachers. But locally I think we've really tried to, we've had to take some tough decisions to put children first and make sure that, to just stop the chaotic and the government's chaotic and dangerous plans, which initially started to, where they proposed towards the end of last year about reopening schools, against all the overwhelming evidence that was laid before them. And in particular, in my borough is one of the 9 boroughs, London authority boroughs, local authority boroughs, that was missed off the list when they provided a list saying these schools would have to close, and it was practically every school around us except for Lambeth itself, which was really strange. And what we've tried to do is throughout the time is we, when we realized that that was a big mistake, we tried to get the government to see sense and make sure that we're protecting not only the children but also the staff as well. And we've been grateful to the support of our teachers and parents and families who have really worked with us. And we tried to make sure that we have the online school provision that is available. So children the best perspective I can give is obviously from Lambeth, because that's where I work on a day-to-day basis. But the provision that we offer is that the children are able to, they engage with their teachers in the morning. So there's a morning registration period, followed by, then they have the tasks. So during that registration period, not only is that an opportunity for the children to see their peers, to try, but also it's an opportunity for them to see their teachers as well, and vice versa. And the teacher goes through the task of the day, and then from that point on, the parents, there are opportunities also for parents to stay back and kind of ask any specific or individual questions that they may have. And then following on from that, the parents then have a whole, the rest of the day to try and complete the tasks that are set. Now, we appreciate that a lot of our parents are, many of them are working and juggling, their day jobs as well as homeschooling. So even though on Google Classroom, there is a deadline that says, the work needs to be completed by a specific time, and the parents and the schools make it really clear, the teachers and the schools make it really clear to the parents that, just do what you can, do as much as you can within that time limit. And what they've been trying to, then they try and have weekly, so once a week they'll have like a face-to-face kind of like a virtual session. That might be a music lesson, it might be a bingo lesson, or like a fun activity. It might be show and tell. Again, it's another way, because if you remember back in the first lockdown, there wasn't much interaction at all, and the significant impact that it had on children's well-being and their mental health as well. Just not being able to, just abruptly not being, having to not go back to school again, not being able to see their friends. And a lot of children, especially I have a daughter, she's 6 years old. So at that age, children learn a lot through play as well, and through interacting with one another. And so it was really important. I saw firsthand, how her personality, she would be like, oh, but mummy, when am I going back to school? And even though you would try your best to try and explain to them, there's germs, etc., still, I could not, the pictures that I took on the first day of term in September, you just couldn't contain their excitement, honestly, and the pictures just didn't do it enough justice. So with that in mind, this time around, they've tried to take into consideration a number of, the lessons learned from the first lockdown, the second sort of half lockdown, and obviously now. And those lessons learned they've used to try and inform the teaching practice. They not only have they offered trauma-informed support to the staff, but also to the children as well. So the staff are trained to kind of look out for any signs that maybe children are struggling, or if maybe parents notify the school of a bereavement and things like that. So they've offered that bereavement, that additional support, that trauma support. But going back to what they do on a day-to-day, that's why they have at least once a week that virtual kind of playful session with the children for them to kind of interact with each other, for them to show their favorite toy or whatever. Additionally, in order to, because some children are having to kind of share devices with older siblings, or unfortunately in some cases maybe they're having to do their work on a phone. So some schools in our borough have also provided headphones as an additional support to families. And in some schools, it's across the entire school. So from year 6 all the way down, each household is provided with headphones according to the number of children. And again, and also the teachers have also been provided with headphones, because for some of them, they may not be living in kind of conducive environments. They don't feel too comfortable with delivering their virtual lessons as they would if they were in the classroom. So at least with the headphones, it's tried to provide a bit more privacy, not that they're hiding anything, but a bit more privacy, and enable them to feel a bit more comfortable either engaging with the lesson as a student or delivering the lesson as a teacher as well. And the live teaching has been quite popular, and the sessions, what the teachers are doing is that they are, they're pre-recorded, so English, maths, phonics, they tend to record those live, and also PHSE, apologies, and also just because initially there was a bit of apprehension as to would the content, the materials that would be shared, would it be used for different purposes. And so we asked the parents also to just sign a like an online usage policy, just to say, we're using this, even though we're accessing these pre-recorded and teaching content, we're still going to make sure that we only use it for these purposes. And I know that for some of the schools, they have struggled this time around with regards to the sheer number of key workers. I think the first lockdown, people didn't really understand, or people didn't really anticipate that it would last as long as it did. But as it got closer to the summer holidays, people said, okay, I'll persevere with it. They're going on summer break. But then when we're now back into another lockdown, I think a lot of people who were key workers who may not have presented themselves at the school previously definitely took up the offer now. And so there has been quite an extensive list, and the government guidelines has been quite broad. So schools have had to find ways to try and whittle down that list slightly, because if they accepted every key worker child into the school, then you might as well keep the school open. And that's not what the intention is. So head teachers have taken the approach of just reiterating the messaging to say, it's as a last resort, if you're unable, if you don't have childcare, then please do bring your children in. And also what you'll find is that schools have also been requesting evidence and timetables of your key worker status as well. I think the late messaging, the haphazard messaging from the government hasn't helped at all. I know for a fact that during the Christmas periods, 30th of December, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, teachers, head teachers, as council officers, across local authorities, pretty much across the borough, especially in the 9 boroughs that were initially told that they had to open, frantically working at all hours to try and ensure that things were in place for the 4th/5th of January. And that hasn't been helpful to people's anxiety. It hasn't been helpful for parents to kind of prepare in advance. And so we've been having meetings as London councils, and just reiterating that message to get it through to the government to say, listen, if we are going to bring changes about, let's make sure that those changes are, that those messages are delivered in a timely fashion, so that we're able to organise properly. The overall, I think, with the educational provision that we are offering in Lambeth, we did a survey towards the tail end of last term, and also at the beginning of this term as well. We didn't survey the children who were 7 years old and younger, because obviously we're not necessarily expecting them to be able to physically access the computer and answer the questions, but all those from 7 years old and above, from 8 years old, sorry, and above, we did survey them and their families to see how are they coping, how are they managing with the homeschooling provision. And most of the feedback has been positive. They do have access to the devices. Again, that was a big problem in the first lockdown. But again, as I said, the lessons learned from the first and second experiences have really helped to positively inform the approaches that schools have taken this time round. So schools have access to devices, and they're able to share those, distribute those devices, set them up and distribute it to the families that need. Also, with regards to free school meals in Lambeth, I'm sure some of you, if you're active on social media, you would have seen some of the packages of support that were provided for those children who are in receipt of free school meals. And it didn't look good at all. But in Lambeth, the approach that we took was for us to offer vouchers to the parents. We believe that gives them better choice. It gives them a bit more, dignity. And some of the supermarkets, Marks and Spencer in particular, just to name one, they're providing an additional £5 on top of. So if you present a free school voucher meal, a free school voucher at their shops, their policy now is to add an additional £5 on top. They have specific tailored menus as well, breakfast menus and other types of menus that parents can select from to use their vouchers. And we found that approach has worked better than food parcels, and we know that a number of other authorities have also taken a similar sort of approach. And finally, just on the point of COVID and risk assessments, we've also had a lot of support from our public health colleagues, who have supported not only the schools, but they've supported us within the council to ensure that the risk assessments are, the staff all have enhanced risk assessments, that they have their PPE, access to PPE where it's required. And in many of our areas in Lambeth, we also have an initiative called School Streets, which is an initiative where the streets where specific schools are closed off from during pick-up and drop-off times. And again, that's also to try and aid social distancing within the borough. So these are some of the things that we've been doing within Lambeth, and it's been, like I said, it's been a journey, and it's been challenging for everyone, but we really have kind of come together to ensure that we are providing the best possible educational support for families, as well as to the schools and the teaching staff. And I know that this is just only the start of getting our children's education back on track, but with the NHS vaccine programme providing us hope and a glimmer of light, at least at the end of the tunnel, we hope that a year from now we can look back on 2021 as a year of real action and joy and achievement for our children's education and for all of our good health, safety and prosperity. So I'll pause there and see if there are any sort of questions or comments that you may wish to come back with.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. And I think it's really important for parents to understand that there is help and there is support. As much as people complain that the government don't do enough, sometimes it's a case of parents actually finding out what's actually available or what's on offer. So obviously councillors speaking from experience, specifically from her council, but there are a lot of policies and procedures that do overlap, and whichever council or area you find yourself connected to, do go and ask what support is available for me in my specific situation. If anyone does have any questions, you can just put them in the chat, and then I think I will put them to Councillor probably after. Okay, awesome. And I think one of the main things I picked up from what Councillor Mandy Brown pointed out was the importance of the relationship between parents and the school. So, for example, my son is 4. He just started reception this September, and he had one term. The thing that I'd been waiting for my whole life was for him to start official school, and then after one term, he's home. And we've been, trying to keep up with the homeschooling. He has 3 Zoom sessions a day there's, you know, all the printing, keeping up with it all, and making sure that, you know, he's not the one in the class that hasn't submitted. And even though I'm in education, you know, even I have found it quite a lot to keep up with everything, and you know, managing everything else that comes with just life. So it is important to just keep the channels of communication open with the school. I remember emailing his teacher to say, we haven't completed everything, but I don't want him to miss out on house points. And, you know, she said, it's fine, you know, complete as and when, and send everything back over the weekend, you know. And even, you know, from my perspective, running LSH and, you know, finding some children who haven't handed their homework in on time, you know, it's really made me understand that sometimes these things do happen, but it's just a case of being open. So even for our students, you know, we've always said to you guys, you have your deadlines. If there's anything, just send a message across on Google Classroom so the teachers know that, okay, your work is coming later. But I think definitely asking for support when you need it is really key. And you know, as I mentioned, sometimes you don't even know what support is available and on offer. So I would, just implore all of you to, if you are struggling, do reach out to your local council and just ask what support is in place for, you know, my situation. And as Councillor Nanda Brown has explained, you're happy to help. So hopefully it should have, it should have a positive outcome. So thank you so much. Okay, so we have another speaker, but before I come to her, I'll quickly show you what the slide is. It's a bit interesting. It's about don't be a unicorn, mum or dad. And I know she's probably going to smile when she sees that. But before I go to her, I'm going to quickly switch back to Mayomikum. I'm not sure if Mayomikum and her mum are here. So
We're here.
Fantastic. It's basically about the 4+ exams. Now, not that many parents know about the 4+ exams, and that's the exam that my son sat, that got him into the reception class he's in now. And with us, we start from age 3.5, and it just gives an opportunity for some parents, if that's your choice, to get your children into the habit of learning from an early age. And if your school happens to be connected to a school that has, you know, an all the way through school, so the school that I went to, I joined them in year 8, but some of my school friends started from age 4 to 18. And if you can get them in at age 4, then not that you can sit back and relax, but you just know that they're in the place that you want them to be from day one. And there is a bit of prep that goes into it, because obviously they want to make sure that you're still the right candidate, even at that young age. And someone said to me recently, oh, but how did you know that your son was, the right fit for that school? The secondary school I want him to go to, he doesn't start until he's 13, but I registered him when he was a couple of months old. And that's because I know what that school has to offer. And as he was growing, you, as a parent, you have certain expectations for your child, and as they grow, it's easy to see their personality come out, as time goes along. One of the benefits of registering early is, number one, the registration fee sometimes tends to increase each year. So if you can just do that one time and get it done and over with, then that's fine. But the other thing is you get to track what's going on with that school. So some schools might have a period of 4 years where they just go downhill for some reason, and then they pick up again after from the 5th year, and then they have a steady run of excellent results for the next 15. So it's important to make sure that if you've registered your child early, then their entrance year, and you can kind of track what's going on. Once you're registered, they send you all their updates, their newsletters, their open days. So you're constantly in the loop and constantly in the know about what's going on. If they decide that they are becoming, slightly less academic, more about, embracing mental health, which is key, but if it's at the detriment of academics purely, and that your child is really, really academic, then you would see that, okay, based on the trajectory of how this school's performing over the past years, and my son or my daughter is supposed to be entering within that frame, maybe we should consider looking at other options. So one of the benefits of registering early is you're kept in the know. You can see if, you know, what the school offers matches your child's personality as they are growing as well. But it's better to register now rather than leaving it till late, and you might end up missing out on it. So that's one of the benefits of early registration, just so I'll put that in there. And also one of the benefits of doing the 4+. So for example, as I mentioned, he's 4, he has 3 Zoom classes a day. He's doing verbal, non-verbal, math and English, but in a very fun and constructive way. So he doesn't feel like it's sums, or even though he does like sums, but he doesn't feel like it's a burden. So, and I know that, you know, just as counsellor shared with us, there are some children who don't have the opportunity to access that, even though, like what I mentioned about Ivana, even though the potential is there. So if you imagine someone who has the cure for COVID without needing 2 jabs or 2 doses, or someone who has the cure for cancer, but if they're in an environment where it's not nurtured, then that person will just go through life, living a great life, but not knowing what could have been. So sometimes if you can look at a school and think, wow, my son or my daughter has the ability to be in that school and they can help shape them in a certain direction and bring certain things out of them, then don't shy away from looking at all the options available to you. So one of the best ways to try and get them engaged is from really young. So I know some of you have seen these before. These are my sons. They are age 2 and 4 now. And literally, like, from day dot, rather than giving them a tablet with, you know, Peppa Pig, it was sight words, you know, dog, or sounding out words, letters, things like that, flashcards, even toys, things that will help enhance their reasoning ability, or construction toys like this. So it doesn't always have to be video games, it doesn't always have to be watching show after show after show, but at the same time you also want to keep a balance so that it's not just completely all work and no play. So I know in lots of nurseries they have the concept of learn through play, and that is really key, because you don't want them to ever feel like it's a burden. You want them to feel like it's just natural, and yeah, I don't mind doing this, it's fun. So what you know, if you try to introduce soya milk to someone who's 18, they might not necessarily like it. If you introduce soya milk to them from, you know, straight off the breast or whatever, then hey, they think it's just the norm. Doesn't everyone drink this? So, you know, it's the same kind of situation that we want to try and encourage from a really young age. And I'm going to ask, we've got one of our young students who's in Miss Ellie's class, who teaches the reception group, and I don't know if you could all see her. There's our little Mayomikum.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Fine.
So yeah, I've asked Mayomikum and her mum just to share a few words about you know, your experience of working with you know, at this age. And I remember one time you said there was one particular class with Miss Ellie where you just felt so frustrated. But, you know, so yeah, if you could just share what it's like for you.
Hello everyone, my name is Tutu and this is my daughter Mayomiku. Mayomiku is going to be 4 next month. So from a really young age, we did quite a lot. I did quite a lot with her, you know, just exposing her to different things. And then we realized that she really loved learning. And we noticed that she used to take things up really quickly. So at the age of 2, someone had given me a box of phonics things. So I tried them with her and I realized she was getting on with actually mastering her sounds and all of that. But I got to a point where I got a bit stuck, where I wasn't quite sure what else to throw at her. I wasn't quite sure what else was appropriate for her age, I think. And then someone had invited me to one of these webinars actually, and I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. And so I registered her for Saturday school. And I think my aim at the time was I just wanted to understand what more I could throw at her at this age that would be appropriate for her age. So even though she was eager to learn, I didn't want to push her too much, if that makes sense. And then I remember the very first class, she was excited about it. She didn't seem to have a problem that class, but I was a bit weirded out by the fact that, so the first thing that Miss Elliott asked them to do was addition, and I'd never ever, thought that would be appropriate for her age. So I'd never introduced her to things like that. So I thought, my daughter is not going to be able to do this. But then she taught them how to use the sticks. And by the end of the class, she was adding, actually. And actually, I thought, oh my goodness. So that means, you throw stuff at them and they'll take what they can. Now she was 3, she's 3, she's still 3 technically. And so she still has her 3-year-old moments. And so some of the subsequent classes, she would get frustrated by not being able to do things. But that was the first few classes. To be honest, she's settled down, she's coping well, she's doing a lot of things that honestly, I would not have thought to throw at her. Last week they were doing, subtractions, 25 minus 18. I would never have thought, to throw stuff like that at a child this age, but she's taking it in. The only thing I would say is I'm letting her do it at her pace a little bit. So if Miss Ellie, for example, writes 6 sentences, if she does 2, I'm happy. If she's able to do 2 of them or 3 of them, at least I'm happy. I know she can do it. If there's maybe 10 sums on the board, if she can do 4 or 5, I'm good. Sometimes I will take the rest and then get her to do them later, but she's doing it at her pace, she's happy, she's looking forward to Saturday school every time. So for me, it gave me the confidence to expose her to other things. So now I'm not afraid of introducing things to her. And I realize they surprise us, these children, how much they can actually take in at this age. So for me, the main thing is it's never too early to expose them to learning. I have a 2-year-old as well who I've then, had the confidence to start giving all sorts of things, and he's starting to take things in as well. So it's never too early to expose them. Of course, children are different, but it's something about you expose them, they will take in whatever they've got the capacity to. And like I said, they do surprise us.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much. And the thing about the frustration part, just for all parents to know, it happens to all of us. I remember maybe about 2 weeks ago, in the middle of Saturday school, and obviously my son is in the class too. And I remember my husband just sent me a message saying, Josiah's not continuing. And I was like, what's going on? So I just brought him to come and sit with me. And I was like, okay, here you go, just be patient, and they're fine. So sometimes as parents, it's a bit frustrating because you're like, come on, you should know this, but children, they take things in their stride and they're learning, and we don't want it to seem like we're forcing them to do it. So for parents, just remember, it's okay that, there will be frustrating moments. You might be wondering, why can you not figure out this verbal reasoning question? But don't get frustrated, because children pick up on it, and then it makes them kind of, lose confidence a bit. One of the things right now with my son is that as they're reading and writing, he's spelling the words incorrectly, but he's spelling them phonetically. So for example, today he wrote about someone whose tooth came out and he put it under his pillow, and he spelled pillow P-I-L-O, because he was like pillow. And if you he also used the word worried, that if he couldn't find the tooth, then the tooth fairy wouldn't come, so he was worried. But he didn't want to write it, even though he said it. And I said, you can write it. It's like, no, let me write something else because I can't spell worried. And I said, it's fine, just write what you can hear. And he spelt it W-O-R-E-E-D. And that's fine. It's okay, because it shows that they're at least thinking about it. And then as they get older and the more they read, they will pick up naturally on how to spell words correctly. But if you shut them down, then the confidence kind of goes down, and then they don't feel as forthcoming to share their ideas. And then you end up thinking you've got a child who doesn't know anything, when really they know everything, but they just need the confidence to be able to bring it out. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mayumi-kun. Every time I see you, I'm just like, oh. You're welcome. So yeah, so really quickly, I don't know if Mrs. Kemi Olore is here, because we have someone who literally recently just
Yes, I'm here.
Also, Mrs. Olore's son just sat his 4+ exam last month. Do you just want to tell us a bit about what that process was like for you? Oh, you're on mute. Okay.
You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Hi, everyone. So our 4+ preparation was, I love the fact that Lola just spoke about different parents having different experiences. So with me, I think I'm the parent who I was used to learning with a ruler with my mum, and I realised that that definitely doesn't work for my son. So we, in terms of preparation, well, one of the other things that we did was, I remember there was a point where Laura and I were pregnant at the same time, and we went to view an independent school. I think some of the people in the school kind of thought that we were a little bit weird, because they kept asking, where's the children? And all we kept doing was pointing to our stomachs, that they're not born yet. But we, Samuel's been with Lola for, I'd say pretty much from birth, just because he plays with Josiah quite a lot. But in terms of flashcards, that's one of the things that we introduced quite early on. Posters around the house as well. And Lola then told us about the Oaks Centre. She told us about how they learn, and one of the key things that stood out for us was when she said that they train kids on concentration. So Samuel is very, very energetic, and in terms of his attention span, we felt that, you know, maybe after 2-3 minutes or so he was gone, he was bored. So we then got him enrolled into into the Oaks. And we noticed that at first they kept every day, we were the parents who they'd come and say, oh, Samuel wasn't listening, he didn't want to do certain things. But then as time went on, he absolutely loved going to school. He was also with Miss Ellie as well, Saturday schools, and she would say, look, you know, we're taking it slowly. Even if she spent 1 hour just teaching him how to hold the pencil, for me it didn't make sense, but she knew what she was doing. So, you know, she'd keep us updated with his progress. And when we started preparing him for the 4+ exams, it was the Zoom calls that he'd log on to every Saturday morning. And we'd follow through with the work that they had done for that week, so that when it came to the following week, we didn't want it to be a case where Samuel was behind. And he's actually in the class for reception. Samuel's still 4, he's only just turned 4, so he starts school in September, but we wanted him to be with people who are older than him so that he can be challenged. And we make learning a little bit fun. So one of the things that, you know, Lola encouraged us to do is, you know, don't make him sit down in one place and, you know, say, okay, here's the book, and or this is the writing that you have to do. So he's got this electric car, we throw words around on the floor and we say, drive to this word or spell this, and he'll drive his little car around the house and pick up letters to make a word. So we try to encourage making learning fun for him. And his dad, when we found out the date for the test, his dad was, okay, we've got to do this. He was buying all these books. And I remember one evening, Lola just came round the day before, and she said, look, this is what we're going to do. And she just spent time with him, talking to him. So he was in his environment of his little toy corner where he felt that he was playing, but they were really working and learning. And the actual assessment was like that. He came home and he said, Mummy, I went to a different room today. And I said, what did you do? He said, nothing much. I just played. They asked me to do some things. And he was able to recount what they told him to do. You know, he said, we did some writing, we did some drawing. They told me to open something. And I do really believe that it's all the preparation that we had done beforehand in terms of making learning fun, encouraging, rewarding him with things. So it may be, if you do this, you can go and see Josiah today or tomorrow. So the rewards definitely worked.
Awesome, thank you so much. So I think just not just specifically to this age group, but even for our older students at 11 plus, even our 13 plus students, we've got some 13 plus students who are preparing for their Harrow and Eton exams where, you know, you go in at 13, and our GCSE students as well. That whole idea of making learning not a chore is the best way to approach it. And obviously, if you can start from early, the better. But even if you haven't started as young as, let's say, Samuel or Mayomikun, it's not difficult to get them into the process if you can surround them with other children who are, you know, on the same kind of wavelength. So children we as human beings, we're all very social people. We always want to feel that feeling of belonging, and more so with children. So if your child feels like, why am I doing all this extra work after school when my friends are playing, then even if they have the potential and the ability, sometimes it might be a bit frustrating because they can't see their other friends doing it. So, you know, working in a group around them with others who think the same or who have the same similar goals, that is really, really helpful. Even in terms of like group tuition is great. Sometimes we take children out and put them on a one-to-one program in case there are any gaps that need to be filled, and then it's go straight back into the group, because you don't want to become an island. You don't want to think, oh, I'm too good, and you meet with others and you find out actually there's so much I don't know. Some of you know already that even for me, the first secondary school I went to, I was in the top set for everything. And then the one that I ended up in from year 8 to A levels, when I first got there in year 8, I was in the bottom set for everything. So what was top set in one school was the equivalent of the bottom set in another. And if you're, you know, just on an island and not able to compete or, you know, share ideas with others, then you won't really always know what, you know, how much more you could do or how much better you could be. And that's one of the things that we've started is like study groups, especially for our older students. Even our 11 plus ones, they do joint presentations and they work together just to feel like, you know, we are all in this together. So thank you so much, Mrs. Olowe and Samuel and Mayomi-kun and Tutu, thank you so much for sharing your journey and your experiences. And for any parents who are considering 4+, because it's not as widely spoken as much as 11+ or even 7+, just know that it is out there and it is an option if it's something you're considering. Okay, so now to our unicorn. Don't be a unicorn mum or dad. So I'm just going to quickly ask, is Anjum here today? Hopefully she's not on mute. Is she there? I can't see her. Okay, all right. So basically, Anjum is the parent of one of our students called Aris. And Aris did his 7+.
Anjum is but her sound just isn't working.
Yeah.
Oh, her sound's not
there.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's not on mute, so I'm not quite sure why it's not connecting.
Or maybe she comes off and comes back on again.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, awesome.
Okay.
Sorry. Good evening, everyone. Sorry about that.
Hi.
Hiya.
Awesome. So as I was saying, there we go. There's Aris. So Aris was one of our 7+ students. He joined, I think it was maybe 5, I think, or thereabouts, or was just 6.
He was 5 coming up for 6.
5 coming up to 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can just tell you now that he literally passed every single exam. But what I also want to say is he's not your typical student in terms of, okay, yes, miss, I'll sit down and do every single piece of work you asked me to do. And, and the reason why I want to point that out is because it's important for parents to literally know what their children are like and to have like realistic expectations of them. So you can't force someone who's more, you know, free to be someone who is frigid, you know. And like for me, my 2 sons, the first one is very like regimented, I must sit down and do this. The second one would rather learn whilst running around. So, you can't, it's not one size fits all. And Aris was definitely the one that was like, Aris, can you sit down, please? Or Aris, can you stop talking and just finish this for me, please? But with all of that, he was just, exceptional, amazing. And the reason why it says don't be a unicorn mum is because I think maybe after the second lesson, his mum just came to him and was like, look, Lola, I'm just going to tell you now, I'm not one of those unicorn mums with the birds and the bees and airy fairy. If he needs discipline, you give him discipline. And I was just like, wow, okay. So yeah, I don't know, would you like to just help parents to have more of an understanding of like what the 7+ is and what it was like for you?
Right, so the 7+, Aris is one of 3 boys. He's my youngest, and I wanted him to get into the same school as his older 2 brothers. So I had a fair idea. However, he is one of those children that doesn't sit down. It's sort of like quite a short attention span, but he is very bright. I was guided mostly by Lola to sort of give me a structure that I could do at home, and whatever he was expected to do, I ensured that it was done, and we both worked together. And I was guided by her, but also did sort of want her to instill some discipline in him as well, because if he is going to muck about, he does, sometimes children are like that. Every child is different. You're absolutely correct.
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah, so my experience was good. It was good for him because it gave him a lot of discipline and showed how far he could be stretched. But I think it's different things need to be applied to different children, so different approaches, I suppose.
Definitely, yeah. So what would you say to some parents who kind of have a bit of a blasé or relaxed attitude towards their kids learning? For example, like, you sent him to come and learn, but you were also on the ball, like knowing, okay, what exactly is he doing? What structure does he need? What should I be following up on at home?
Yeah, that's the thing. I realised I needed to do some work at home. I think the days of where you just pay someone to teach your child is gone. You've got to do it at home. The competition is so high now that you do need to do it. But I prefer going to you because you could give me the structure. Although I had, I wanted to make the effort, I needed to make sure that the effort I was doing was targeted and focused into the right areas and not just throwing stuff at him.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's what I would say.
So what's one of the benefits of the fact that he's done the 7+ exam now? Now that he started year 3, what would you say is, okay, yes, we made it, this is what we wanted?
Personally, my benefit is I now have just one school run rather than 2 or perhaps 3 different ones. So that's helped. His 2 older brothers are there, so it's a weight off my mind because essentially he's got a place there until 18, which is good. But also I've got the option now because I know that he can be stretched. So if I did want to change him to a different school, I now know where to go and sort of targeting him into a different school, based upon his personality.
Awesome, exactly. Thank you. And that's one of the things we were saying about if you, do register with a school or your child is in a school, track the school's growth or how the school might be changing, or is it consistent? And, does it match the personality of your child as they are growing and changing too? Someone who, for example, I'll use myself, I'm always smiling and everything now, but apparently when I was younger, I was really rude, like a very rude child. And I can't imagine being like that today. So children do adapt and change, and same with like their attitude to learning as well. So it's important to see and to be on the ball to make sure that, as Anjum said, you can't just say, okay, I'm going to pay this person and there you go. As the parent, you just want to be involved in the process as well and make sure you're kind of working together, because at the end of the day, you both want the best for your child. And as much as teachers can do stuff, as much as tutors can do stuff, as much as you can even say, I'm going to put them through 4+ or 7+ and get them in from now, if you do that and take your hands off, you might find you're dealing with a 16-year-old who's not interested anymore. So it's important to, yes, do that, but also still be involved in the process and, you know, be on the board and up to date with what's going on. So yeah, Iris, well done. Congratulations. I know you did a lot of work. Do you want to say anything?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well done, Iris. I'm very proud of you. Thank you so much. So for any parents who are considering 7+ as well, you know, there are schools who do offer it. So it's literally just about awareness, just making you know it's out there and it's an option. It's not always 11+ as your first point of entry. There are 7+ schools, there are 13+ schools, and there are, as you saw, 4+ schools as well. And Iris is living proof of someone who is very intelligent, but also wasn't your typical, I'm a disciplined student and I'm going to sit down and do everything you tell me to do. Yet he still got, you know, the best out of what he could do, and you know, he did amazingly well. He passed literally every single exam. So yeah, really proud of you, Iris. Well done. And you know, just to encourage other parents as well, that you know, don't think that because your child doesn't seem to fit a specific image you have of what it means to be smart, that they're not, you know. And even if your child might be not as academic as you want them to be, there are still always options and avenues to help them to get there. And there are also schools that might not be the most academic schools, but what they provide is the support that your child needs. So rather than forcing your child to go to a really academic school, if they work at a lower pace, then put them in the school that works at the pace that can help them, support them, rather than saying you must go to this school because everyone gets an A star, but your child will feel overwhelmed and probably do worse than how they should have done at the same time. So it's really important to know your child's character and the kind of school that suits them as well. So yeah, thank you so much. Okay, we are almost at the end. I'm going to invite Miss Claire to come and speak to us about the group that she's in. And one of the reasons why I think this is so amazing is because even for myself, a lot of you would know my mum, Yemisi Akindele, and she was a young mum. She had all 4 of her children by the age of 30. And she made a point of making sure that she gave us the best in terms of education, almost single-handedly. And for me, I've been under that training, so I knew what to do when I had my children. But a lot of other parents, especially young parents, either aren't aware that these things are here, or they've just never even heard of it, or they know it's there, but they feel like it's not for them. So I'm going to ask Miss Claire just to share a bit more about what she's doing and providing for other like-minded parents in her situation also.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Lola, and good evening, everybody. Lola, if you could allow me to share my screen, please.
Yes.
Thank you. Great. Please let me know when you can see the screen.
Yes, we can see it.
Great. So yeah, as you said, my name is Clara Collo, hi, and I'm the founder of the Young Parents Independent Schools Group. So there is a famous saying used by African parents worldwide: those who made A star, do they have 2 heads? Now, that basically means if you received an A star, if you received an A as part of your exam result, and one of your schoolmates received an A star, your parents would ask, what happened to the star? You know, there's someone who had an A star, do they have 2 heads? Why did you not get an A star? So in that premise, yes, one alone, we can achieve so much by ourselves, and we should always strive to push for the best. But 2 heads are always deemed as better than 1. So imagine what 30 heads together or 100 people together can do. So just a bit about myself. I am a graduate from the University of Westminster. I graduated doing a degree in biomedical science, and I worked in many private laboratories across the UK, and I've now transitioned into the corporate side of science. So I'm a junior project manager within a world-renowned medical animations company, and I'm very, very happy to be here. Before I graduated, I was a catwalk model, and I was in London Fashion Week a few times and traveled around the world and had many great experiences. At the age of 19, my modeling career was on pause for that moment. I found out I was pregnant and I decided to go to school. So the same day I found out I was pregnant, I applied for an Access to Medicine and Biomedical Sciences course. And this was to make sure I had my career in check so I could provide a better life for my daughter and I. Now, around this time, this was about 2011, there was mass amount of news of young parents and the bleak outlook of their life, having a child young. And I said, this is not my portion, it's not for me, and it will never be my reality. So I really worked hard to eradicate the stigma of being a young single mum, and pushed hard, had a great degree from a great university. And this is all with the thought of making sure my daughter had the best of what I can provide her, and also myself. So what is the vision? What exactly are we creating here? So the Young Parents Independent Schools Group is a support network for young parents whose children currently attend the independent school sector, whether that's primary or secondary. And it's also a support group for young parents who wish to enroll their children within the independent school sector. And here we can discuss the expectations of parents within independent school sector. We'll share opinions, we can talk about the fees, how to plan and how to structure any help that you can get, and also discuss the best methods of parent to school communication and many more things. The expectation of parents within independent school is very different to what maybe a state school may expect you to do. So why am I doing this? When I decided to pursue private school education for my daughter, I had no idea how to get into it. I was very unaware, but I was adamant she'll be going. I was adamant because I knew the benefit of having a child within an independent school sector. So for us, getting into school is relatively easy. I know that's not the case for every parent, but for us it was. Once we were there, the challenges arose. I definitely received a big culture shock, and I looked around and asked many parents for helping hands, or as a manual, if you will, as to how to conduct myself and how to, remain poised and show decorum through everything you do. So aspiring to this kind of level of education is not really the norm amongst people of my age, but I know that there are parents out there. I'm 28 years old right now. When my daughter entered private school, I was 25. And I was fresh out of university, so fresh in university, and I didn't really know what to do. And I was looking for my peers, I guess. And so whilst there are resources available for people to find out how to get into the school, there's nothing targeted towards young people or targeted to young people who are currently in this world. So that's why I've decided to create this space to bring together like-minded young parents to bounce off each other and really grow together through this independent school journey that we're on. So how will we do this? And there's always strength in numbers. So we will be connecting. So once a month, it will be the last Thursday of every month, starting from next month, February. We'll have monthly Zoom meetings, and you can also subscribe to the mailing list to join, to have regular updates on what we're going to do. We have social media pages. Please go ahead and follow. We have a Twitter page, which is Young Parents ISG, and also a LinkedIn group, which is Young Parents Independent Schools Group. They've just been created, so please make sure to go and follow and connect with us. And I just wanted to finish on a couple of stats. So there are 8.89 million children being educated in the UK. Now, only 630,000 of those children currently are within the independent school sector. Now, the question is, how many of these children have young parents? It's time for us to connect and support one another. So thank you so much. Please go ahead and take a picture so you can save the contact information. Feel free to email me and call me and text me and connect on social media. If you feel that you may know anyone who can benefit from being in this group, it's not a closed group at all. So if you are an older parent who has experience and wants to help contribute to these young parents within this industry, I guess, please do feel free to join as well. And if you know of any young parents who may benefit from just being around this kind of community, please do share. So thank you so much for listening. And again, I'm Clara Collo.
Thank you so much, Claire. Thank you so much for sharing that. And we will make sure that all of the details get through to all of our parents as well. And there will also be a recording of this that we'll send out, so everyone will still have the recording, and we'll make sure that they have the details so they can join. Thank you so much. And even though I look young, I know I'm outside of the age bracket for the club, but but I'm
If you feel you are young, you can join.
Well, I feel young, so I'll be joining too. Thank you so much. But yeah, so for parents, you know, that I think it's a wonderful support group. I know there are lots of different, you know, WhatsApp forums and group chats as well, but sometimes, you know, when it's multi-generational, you've got some parents who can't really connect with or relate to what some other parents might be dealing with. And my sister and I had a discussion about this today, actually, about having, you know, parents of different generations and how they raise their children, and how that can affect children when they are in the same school but have parents of different generations, because that affects the way that they think. And you know, it's just important to be conscious of the fact that in school everyone's coming from a completely different background, and as a young parent it is easy to feel lost in this world. So, you know, having a network where you can feel supported and guided, and, you know, having, you know, some of the older parents who would like to, you know, drop a few pearls of wisdom could, you know, really be useful and beneficial as well. So thank you so much for sharing that, Claire, and I'll make sure that everyone gets a copy of this. So thank you. Okay, so awesome. Okay, so we are literally finally at the end, almost on time, on schedule. What we're going to do now is just to for you to meet our team. So this is the team. And something else that some of you might have noticed is we now have a G in front of our name, and that's because we are changing our name to GLSH, which is Global Legacy Scholars House. And the reason is because, you know, since COVID, it's really opened our eyes to the fact that the world is actually very small, and we are actually a global network, a global family. And we used to have, you know, our physical sessions, physical classes. And in March last year, when the first lockdown happened, is when we transitioned online, and we were able to, you know, run successfully our summer school programs, all of that completely online. And we now have students who, you know, tune in from abroad. We've got students from France, Nigeria, there was one person from Australia. We have the GCSE class. I think for the past 3 weeks, their teacher's been tuning in from Kenya. You're going to meet her in a minute, Miss Anne-Marie. So yeah, and also that the thing that we want to encourage our children to do, as well as the academics, is to also look at how to build the whole child, and things like having a global mindset is so key. We had one of our ex-students who's about in his 20s now, had a interview recently and was able to drop nuggets of all the, you know, the work experience that they've done in different countries, and, you know, that was really impressive for them. So if we can get our children to start thinking outside the box and realize how big the world is, there's no reason why one of our students here can't end up working for the UN in Guatemala or somewhere, I don't know. But, you know, we just want to be intentional about that in what we do, but also make sure that we are family. So that's why we're keeping the house in there, to make sure that we've got that family feel. And one of the changes that we'll be doing, our name will officially change from after the Easter term, and we will also be moving on to an LMS online learning platform. So rather than having our Zoom and Google Classroom separated, it will be one platform where all of our 11 plus courses, 13 plus courses, everything will be run as courses, even our mentoring courses. So Miss Henrietta and Mr. Jesse, they are heading up the mentoring team, and it's going to be a course that all of our children will be enrolled into on this learning online platform. So So yeah, so I just want to introduce you to members of the team. Most of you have seen a few changes on our emails. We've got Peter and Hafsat and Micah. Micah will be coming off for a while because she's got some other things that she'll be moving into, but we are going to welcome Miss Aleri. So Aleri, are you there, please? Just so we can see your face. So I know most of you, like most of our current parents, they have our LSH number, the admin number, and Aleri will be the person taking those calls. Is she there?
Hi, yeah, I'm here.
Ah, awesome. Okay, awesome. So yeah, so just for parents to be able to put a face to the name when they're calling, and you know, for you to have an idea of who it is when you see her or when you're speaking to her, and you know, she'll be there to help you and direct you to the admin emails if you know you need support that way. And then thank you, Aleri. Then we've also got Hafsat, are you there?
I'm here. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, ma'am.
Fantastic. So Hafsat is dialing in all the way from Nigeria, and she's going to be our support during our live classes, because I know sometimes if you know, when we had other teachers who were in classes at the time, it's not easy to pick up your calls. So her number will be put in our emails. I think it's already there. So if any parents do need support during the lessons, then that's the number you want to call, and she'll be able to support you or to get something across to the teacher, and also follow up with email as well. So thank you so much. Then we'll want to introduce you to our teaching staff. So Miss Ellie, we'll start with you really quickly. I know you're like the famous Ellie.
Thank you. Can you see me? I can't see myself.
I can see you, yeah.
You can see me, okay.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Ellie. I teach the younger group, so I think I've got age 3 to 5, isn't it? I got to 5 inside, I think. Yeah, I've got quite a big group, I suppose, for how young they are. I think I've got about 13 in total, maybe just under that. I just kind of teach them basic things that they need to learn, like in preschool and going into reception, such as literacy, reading, writing, be able to spell words, simple maths, adding, taking away, making patterns, shapes, stuff like that. And at the beginning, I like to let them all talk to each other and communicate. I think it's really important for them to socialise, especially in lockdown, because they might not be able to talk to others, to other children their age. So I like to get that in at the beginning as well. But yeah, that's my class.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Miss Ellie.
Thank you.
Then, let's see, Miss Temi, I think you're probably next. Miss Temi, are you there? Okay, all right, I'll introduce Miss Temi. Miss Temi takes our year 1 class, and she also does the year 2 and 3 class for some of our children who, or she's got some year 2 and 3 students in her class during the week. So we have a Wednesday session and also a Saturday session. And she also does some one-to-one with some of the students who need a bit of extra support. So that's Miss Temi. Let's see, who else do we have? We've got Mr. Miha. Are you there, Mr. Miha? Did you there? No? Okay. All right. So Mr. Mihar takes our year 2 and 3 class as well on a Saturday. And she also provides a bit of one-to-one support for some of the students who might not necessarily work well in the group setting. So they're on a one-to-one program and then they go back into the group setting. One of the things that COVID did was, you know, the children had the last term of school off from last year, from, you know, from Easter to summer. So we had a lot of children who came into September with lots of gaps in their learning. So even though, let's say, you should be in reception, all of a sudden you'll find yourself in year 1, but you haven't literally covered the rest of reception. So she's able to kind of fill in those gaps for children who didn't quite make the jump as smoothly as possible, and just to, you know, help support them as they move along. Then we've got, who else do we have next? We've got Rachel? Miss Rachel, are you there? Miss Rachel is new to the team. We've got Miss Rachel and oh, hi, Miss Rachel. Hi, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, so I currently teach the 11 plus group, math and non-verbal, and I do that fortnightly.
Awesome. And do you want to tell them what it is you're studying at the moment, just so they know that they're in really good hands here?
I study electronic and computer engineering at the University of Nottingham.
Fantastic. Electronic and computer engineering is just, blows my mind. But if you've got someone like that teaching you math, then you know you are in good hands. So thank you so much, Miss Rachel. And Miss Afope, are you here? Don't know if she's there. Okay, so she's another new member of our team. She takes the 11 plus English group on a Wednesday. And she also does the 13 plus English. So that's our year 7s to year 9s, or maybe year 8, depending on where they are and what level they are that they came into from September after the, the COVID lockdown. And then Miss Anne-Marie. Miss Anne-Marie is our wonderful GCSE English teacher who's been zooming in all the way from Kenya. So, Miss Anne-Marie, are you there?
Hi everyone.
Oh, awesome.
I should caveat that I managed to get out of the UK.
Oh, you're back. Fantastic.
And now I'm back now. But I didn't do anything illegal, just about.
Awesome. I hope you're quarantining.
Yes, I am. I'm in the house until Friday.
Awesome. So do you mind just telling us a bit about what you do with the group?
Sure, absolutely. So I teach a group of GCSE students. So they're from year 9 to year 11 on Saturdays. And obviously it's a year that's quite difficult with quite a lot of uncertainty about what's happening with the exams. So I had been focusing on exam preparation, but now I'm trying to make it quite varied and also quite led by the students. So quite a strong focus on quite detailed feedback to their homework, and looking at building confidence in sort of general language analysis and in their writing. So it's been really lovely getting to know them, and I'm really looking forward to teaching them over the next few months. Awesome. But what I really wanted to kind of make clear to them was just that I am a kind of resource that can be used. So if they have any work that they're struggling with in their lessons in school, and now most of them are probably doing virtual learning in school, they can bring it to me and I can give them some help with that.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. And I think I mentioned this right at the beginning, now more than ever, it's really important, especially for those in the GCSE years, to really pay a lot of attention to your work throughout the year, because obviously exams have been cancelled. So a lot of your grades are going to be based on teachers' feedback or work that you're producing across the year, and they want to be able to see that you're consistent. So not that all of a sudden you started getting really high marks out of nowhere, and they have to be able to justify the marks that they're giving you, if that's going to be the case. And even for students who are in year 10 or year 9, because of what's happened with the exams this year and last year, it can have a knock-on effect in terms of how they're grading you. Do they think it's too lenient, or are they going to be a bit more stringent? So just to bear in mind, you want to treat every single assignment you get like this is the one that could define your grade. So what Miss Anne-Marie said about being so happy and open to help you, for our GCSE students, really do use it and do take it up. If you're struggling with something, that's what we're all here for, to help you. It's not a case of, okay, I'm just coming to lesson for the sake of it, to pick my nose and go. You need to actually gain what you came to get. Okay. So thank you so much, Miss Anne-Marie. And then Miss Anita, are you on there? No, okay, I can't hear her. So Miss Anita takes our GCSE math class and also our 13 plus math class. So from our year 7s to year 9s, she works on the GCSE math with them, or Key Stage 3 math. And she's also one of our first teachers to start the study groups. So she encouraged the groups to literally jump on, form your midweek study group. So even the homework that she's setting, you guys can work on it together, or things that you're given at school, come on a group together and work on it together, so that you don't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm the only one doing this. Or sometimes, as much as it's great for teachers to teach you something, when you've got a fellow student who can explain it to you, or that, you know, that sense of peer learning, it really helps and encourages them. So that's one of the initiatives that she's brought to what we're doing here. And we're going to be bringing it down through to our 11+ study groups as well from April, once we've got our mentoring courses up on the system. So, and then finally, oh, Mr. Jesse, did I introduce Mr. Jesse?
No,
Mr. Jesse.
it's okay.
Mr. Jesse, our partner in crime. So Mr. Jesse takes the 11+ math as well for year 6 and our other group, the year 4s and 5s. And just to let you introduce yourself, what have you studied and everything?
Yeah, sure. So hello everyone, first of all. My background is in civil engineering. So I do come from pretty much an analytical background. So I'm quite comfortable with numbers. That's kind of why I took that approach. Well, when I spoke to Lola, I said I'm most confident in teaching maths and anything analytical and non-verbal as well. So that's what I'm trying to get to the kids. That it's actually not as difficult as they think. I think a lot of the times it's all about reading the question. My dad always told me anyway that maths is English before it's actually maths. If you don't understand a question, you can't answer it. So that's what I'm trying to distill into the kids. So at the moment, not everyone's great fun. So I do hope it stays that way for the remainder of the academic year. But it's been a pleasure teaching so far.
Awesome, thank you. And Mr. Jess is the one who helped me pick out the, you know, the year 6s who got their awards, and they, you know, they did really well. And it's been really great working with him on this. And for our year 6s going forward, now that most of them have finished their 11+, they are actually going on a break. So they don't have any classes until after the February half term is when they come back and they start our Key Stage 3 program. So our year 6s will be doing KS3 math, English, science, French, geography, French, Latin, and Spanish, I think. But and Mandarin, and Mandarin, just to, you know, help them have a bit more of a head start as to what they're going to start facing once they get into year 7. For those of you who joined the call late, at the beginning, I mentioned the fact that, you know, one of the top grammar schools in the country has encouraged all of their students just this week gone to go out there and get tutoring or extra help. And, you know, that's because they know that, especially with what's happened with COVID, even these great schools need support for their children. So if we can, you know, give our kids a bit of a head start whilst they're still in year 6 before they get to year 7, then it's going to be a huge help. And as I mentioned earlier, for anyone who's in year 6, so not just our LSH children, but anyone who's in year 6, in the summer school, we'll be doing free English, KS3 English classes for them. So do contact admin if you want to sign your children up for that. And then Peter is also part of our admin staff and teaching staff. He teaches some of our one-to-one programs. Peter, do you just want to say a hello? Some of you might have received a few emails from him as well. Are you there?
Hi everyone.
There we go.
I'm Peter. I do some of the one-to-one classes. And some of the language classes as well, so like the French and the Spanish and the Mandarin, that would fall to me. So awesome. I'm actually looking forward to that. I guess a bit into my background, I come from a languages background. I did Mandarin and Japanese at university, so that's pretty much where I find my comfort zone. So, and maths, I guess.
Yeah, you're a bit of a math whiz as well. So year 6, just know between Mr. Jesse and Mr. Peter and also Miss Henrietta will be helping out as well. You guys are in, like, you know, excellent hands. And yeah, so Miss Henrietta, do you want to say hello? So just to let everybody know, Miss Henrietta is going to be our new manager. So she's coming on as the manager, and I am still here and I'm still very, present. I have every single Google Classroom account on my phone. So I see when everyone submitted their work, when they haven't. I've seen when the teachers are asking people to submit their work and when they haven't. So I'm tracking everything. But Ms. Henrietta is going to be coming on as the new manager. So she will be the main point of contact for all parents and our staff and everything. So Ms. Henrietta, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everyone. Good evening. Nice to see you all. So yes, I'm Henrietta. As Lola said, I am now taking on responsibilities of manager, so hopefully that won't be too stressful, so everybody just do their part. But just a bit about me. So I also teach the evening group Key Stage 3 and GCSE science sessions on a Wednesday, and then also the 11+ English sessions on a Saturday. So that's me. And then with regards to my background, I studied medical engineering and then performing arts medicine. So I have like a very kind of strong mathematical science background. I'm also very creative and passionate about, dance and things like that. So some of my students will know that I've incorporated that in my lessons. And I'm very, very big about just trying to encourage students to find things that make them kind of set themselves apart, because as great as academics is, I'm always banging on about the importance of just doing like extracurricular activities as well. And I also love presentations. So a lot of your children might have to do some presentations for homework. So that's just a bit of a heads up. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you. So as you can see, Ms. Henrietta and Mr. Jesse, they are the ones who are designing our mentoring and extracurricular program as well. So they're literally going to have to knuckle their heads together and have that all ready for us. We're going to roll it out as a practice during summer, and literally hope that everyone gets enrolled on those courses. And as Ms. Henrietta said, as much as academics are so key, it's important that there's other things to you. So you've got a personality and a character, and when you're going for interviews, they'll be so impressed by the fact that you've got 13 A stars, but they also want to know, are you a team player? Or do you know how to take correction? Or do you know how to maybe not be the first one to answer all the time, but to let someone else have a go and listen to their opinions? So those are things that we'll be doing. And some of you might have noticed that in our sessions, we've done like a bit of a breakout. I know Miss Ellie does this in her classes as well, to have a bit of breakout for them to just talk and communicate, and maybe have like a bit of like show and tell, or things that you are happy about. So like Miss Henrietta said, the presentation aspect, it's important for children to learn IT skills. In the summer, Miss Ellie's class, from as young as age 3, they did presentations about the book that they were reading in their summer school. So our year 2s and 3s, over the Christmas, they had to do a presentation explaining their goals for 2021. So, as a PowerPoint. So if you can start to introduce them to these things now in conjunction with their academics, it just makes things a lot easier, not just for the sake of passing your 11+, but also, life skills that you need throughout your whole life. Whether you want to have a career or start your own business, it's important to have those kind of skills. So that's why we are Global Legacy Scholars House, where we want to put it all together and help them. And so I think that's it. Before I go, I will just note that Miss Henrietta is actually my sister. So just in case anyone's not sure, she's my sister, again, trained under Yemisi Akindele, and Mr. Peter is my younger brother as well. So just know that you've got good hands on the team, and all of us, so Miss Ellie, Miss Rachel, Miss Anita, and Marie I've known since I was 13. So, Mr. Jesse is like an uncle to our kids. So all of us are, literally all in this together. And what we always tell people is the children are not just students, they are literally like our children or our younger siblings. Same with Mr. Miha. I met her through working with her younger brother. So, you know, we want to have like a family feel to what we do. So, you know, that it's not a case of chucking your kids into one system. It's knowing that your kids actually are with people who genuinely care about them. So, yeah, thank you so much, everyone. It's been a wonderful evening. I don't know, Yemisi Akindele, are you on there still? Do you just want to say a goodbye?
All right, well done, everybody. Thank you for joining this meeting, and well done to the teachers, to the entire team. And I would say, if there's any one of your students out there, LSH, who will be starting A-levels this September coming, if they were on this Zoom, they will have access to a 90% bursary at a top independent school, but only somebody who was on this Zoom tonight. So please make note of the names. Thank you, everyone, and good night and God bless. And I love you all.
Thank you. So yeah, we will share more information about the A-level 90% bursary for students. We've been in partnership with one of the really good independent schools who have been happy to offer it to some of our kids, which is great. So, you know, just opening up opportunities for everyone. And it's not about saying that, you know, it's the be all and end all of attending such schools, but it does help. So, you know, and the benefits that you can get out of it are, you can't quantify it, basically. It's lovely. So yeah, I know it's getting late and I don't want to keep people for too long. So I'll just say thank you so much to all of you for joining us. Thank you for all of our teachers and our team for being on board. For one of our Year 6 parents is saying, why are they on a break? Don't worry, we'll sort her out. So yeah, so thank you so much, and I will make sure that we get all of that information out. So as you've seen, you've got Peter, you've got Adetola or Afsat on the emails, you've got Ilary on the phone, so we'll make sure that you've got all the information that was given out today, and everyone will get a copy of this recording also. Just ask for it and it's yours. So yeah, thank you so much, and congratulations to everyone. Well done to all of our Year 6s especially, and you know what you've done going through 11 plus, the beast of 11 plus during COVID. You know, I'm so proud of you all, and well done to all of you who got prizes as well. So you'll get your Amazon vouchers coming to you. So yeah, well done everyone, and thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Night. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. Well done,
Bye.
Lola. Bye.
Thank you.